Welcome to this edition of At the Mic. I'm your host, Keith Malinak. This week, I sit down with someone whose voice a lot of you around the country may already be familiar with. My guest is radio news and traffic reporter Nikki Whaley, and we sit down next. First, let's talk about coffee. Like the American Pride Roasters' Ronald Reagan A Time for Choosing blend. You probably knew that before he got into politics, Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor. But did you also know that he was a sports announcer in the early days of radio as well? In the 1930s, Reagan worked at WHO Radio in Des Moines, Iowa. He would call Chicago Cubs games, but rather than being at the game, he would recreate the action from nothing but a slip of paper typed by a telegraph operator who was transcribing plays sent by Morse code. On June 7th, 1934, with the Cubs and the Cardinals tied 0-0 in the ninth inning, with Billy Jurgis at bat and Dizzy Dean out on the mound, the line went dead for Reagan. So rather than lose his audience, he had to improvise. And so he came up with this imaginary streak of foul balls that lasted nearly 12 minutes until the wire came back. That is impressive. Well, in honor of America's 40th president, American Pride Roasters wants you to know about the Ronald Reagan A Time for Choosing blend, named after Reagan's historic 1964 speech by the same name. And much like that speech, this offering is powerful, with a micro-lot blend of Colombian beans with a sweet and bold flavor with a dark caramel edge. As a roast, it is full city. So it isn't quite a dark roast, and it's perfect for the palate of the discerning coffee drinker in your world. Head over to aprcoffee.com and try the Reagan blend today. And at checkout, be sure to use promo code ATM, and you're going to get 10% off your entire purchase. That's aprcoffee.com.
You're listening to At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production.
Nikki Whaley is my guest on this week's episode of At the Mic. Nikki is a news and traffic reporter heard nationwide, maybe in your town. She's got a great story. She's also the better half of a Blaze coworker of mine, Rob Barowski. His conversation was back in episode 6. If you want to go and check that out over at atthemicshow.com. After you hear this one, which starts right now, here's Nikki Whaley, this week's guest on At the Mic. Nikki is the wife of Rob Barowski from Pat Gray Unleashed on the Blaze radio and TV networks. How do you put up with that guy?
It's more like, how does he put up with me?
Oh, all right, really?
I mean, seriously.
Oh,
yeah.
no. We got a lot to explore, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
okay.
He's my rock. So
that's awesome.
I couldn't complain about him. I mean, you give me some time.
Yeah.
I will find something to complain about him, but right now, we're good.
Right now, things are good? Okay, that's good. So you were born in Dallas. There's very few people that live here that were born here. That's the way it was for me growing up in Atlanta, quite honestly. So how does it feel to be one of the natives here?
It's so overrated. I've wanted to leave. I've wanted to leave Dallas, Texas forever, because I was born in Dallas and I grew up in Forney. And back then,
Outside.
That's where we live now, actually.
Uh-huh.
But back then, it was just basically a truck stop, the strips for the antique shops that my grandfather built.
Oh, wow.
And just one subdivision and a cotton field. I mean, it was nothing.
Yeah.
No McDonald's. They had a city cafe that was right next to a funeral home.
Oh, wow.
Which was weird because when I was growing up, I was like, what's in there?
Oh.
You don't need to go in there. I'm like, see somebody, they're outside crying, and I'm like, it's okay. But Dad grabs me, get over here.
Oh my goodness. So you're talking about like you were right there at the.
Oh yeah, it was like right beside it. Like it would. I think it was called Sparkman.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter. It was just right next door.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That had to be a little creepy once you figured out what was going on in there, right?
Yeah, I think we had already moved by the time I actually figured it out. But then thinking back, I'm like, oh my God, that's ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. You had some later in life experiences with funeral homes, am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to explore that. We'll get there. But this is like a recurring theme for you. So, all right. I could totally identify with this when you were growing up, only child, much like myself. And every now and then, when people would ask me if I had any brothers or sisters, I would totally make it up and be like, yeah, I totally have this brother. And in fact, I know this one time, I really pushed it to the point where I told him that when I came back later that day, it was this new kid in the neighborhood, I would bring my younger brother with me. And it was basically a Cabbage Patch doll. something like that.
Not My Buddy?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a My. No, that was later. That was after my, I was the Cabbage Patch generation.
Same here.
Yeah, his name was Sneaky Red Malinak. And, so anyway, so tell me, what were some of the things you told people in your life growing up?
Oh man, I was one of those that just did not. The amount of stuff that came out of my mouth as a child is just mind-boggling.
Yours were much more elaborate tales than mine.
Oh, it was bad. My father is still to this day tells the story about the time I went to first grade. I didn't have anything for show and tell, so I stood up and said, my father is gone to Shigshagel, and he's now going for his 2-week follow-up. I basically completely recited the commercial. So everyone thought my dad was a pool cleaner because I couldn't spell antique dealer.
Oh, okay.
They thought he was a pool cleaner alcoholic.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay. But you had a story about a brother that you kept in the attic.
Yeah, I was in... Everybody else around me had somebody else to draw beside them. And I was like, I don't have anybody.
See, that's right. And I wanted a story.
Exactly.
But yours was a story.
Yeah, they go, I didn't know, Nicole, I didn't know that you had a little brother. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's in the attic. He's in the attic? Uh-huh. They even called my parents.
Oh, my goodness.
They're like, yeah, she has a very good imagination.
Did you have a name or a backstory or anything like that for him?
I think his name was Brandon. That's about as much as I put thought into it.
That's awesome. Your earliest memory growing up, you remember what? Going to the World's Fair in Knoxville?
Oh, no, I wasn't able to.
No, you missed out on that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I was too young. because I was like, I'd be 3 at the time. And I know that they were all getting in the car. They were all going to go. And I just chased after that car. And the people that were watching me did not expect me to do that. I mean, I made it a good ways down the road.
Oh, my goodness. Right, but you weren't supposed to go, too. You didn't miss out on it because of this, right? But you have this memory of you running down the road.
Oh, yeah. I remember chasing after them. And then I think I don't know how he's related to me. I have no idea. Somebody on my mother's side, he actually picked me up and carried me back.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And then I know that I got to watch Friday the 13th, which was really strange. I don't know how I got to watch that, but I remember.
What a strange early memory. Yeah. Most people are like, yeah, I remember a dog attacked me. Yeah, I remember getting lost in the mall. Yeah, I remember running down the road, going home and watching Friday the 13th. How old were you?
3.
Oh, my goodness.
That's why I guess I don't have any problem with horror movies.
Probably started right there that day. You could probably mark that moment in time where you became desensitized. Okay, so talk to me about how you ended up getting a high school diploma, although never leaving Dallas, Texas. This diploma is from Fargo, North Dakota. Mm-hmm. How's that work?
I was in boarding school and I came back and I was already so far ahead. There was no point in putting me with anyone else in my class because I was at least I would have been a junior. I was already a senior. Okay. So there was a place called Academic Achievement. It was over there off of 635 and Hillcrest, and just a regular old office building. Okay. Some older lady named Dorothy Baxter, she operated it. And there was like 2 tutors. And you basically went in there, you would do either work from Texas Tech. There were just different schools back then. Oh, wow. And you would just, do it, put it, mail it off, and get it back. I mean, I actually did typewriting.
Yeah?
Yeah. And this was back when
I had a typewriter.
I was so mad, though, because I didn't understand it.
But I don't remember taking it, and I'm older than you. I don't remember taking it in a classroom setting, though.
Well, there was never a classroom. It's just us, like 4 people.
Huh.
And I know one person was a tennis player, a young tennis player. I don't know if he ever mounted in anything. Leanne Rhymes. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Is that bad?
Yeah, we did.
You didn't get along with Leanne Rhymes?
No.
Why? Tell us the story about her.
I was one of those kind of really, I didn't put up with crap at that point, and she was one that I would hear her yelling to the tutor going, I don't need to do this. I'm going to be rich and famous one day. I'm like, okay, until you are, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, she was right.
Well, she was right. She was right, but she was just, I just did not like her at all. I mean, and Dorothy just kept pushing me and pushing me. Oh, come on, you can be friends. No. We just did not connect.
Didn't get along, huh?
No.
So, I mean, that's an interesting experience. I've never heard of school like that.
Yeah, it was like, I think it's the first time they ever had something like that. It was just offered to, I guess, really gifted or, in my case, came from a situation where I couldn't go back. I was so far ahead, I couldn't go back.
But school really wasn't a good thing for you. Like, you didn't enjoy it, correct?
No.
Yeah, so you just started.
I was bad at it. I was really bad at it.
Yeah, well, I don't test well. How about that?
Me neither.
Let's explore this, though. You know, when you were in this school, you still had a few peers with you, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'd be no one in there. Sometimes there would be like 3 or 4.
Right.
It was really come and go.
Yeah.
Which was strange. You know, I would get there at like maybe 9 or 10 and stay till about 3:30 or 4, or leave at 2. I mean, it depended upon whether or not
Fine.
what I had to do the rest of the
But you
day.
had a few other people there, and one of them, like you said, was Leanne Rimes. Did you ditch her at lunch one day? I was told that this was some sort of...
Yeah, I kind of... We got in a fight. And
You got in a fight with Leanne Rimes? I bet you might be the subject of one of her songs, and we don't even know.
Nah, she probably don't even remember this. It was so long ago, and I mean, honestly, I would be surprised if she even remembered it at all.
Okay, so what happened?
She just pissed me off, and I just told her, hey, why don't you go in and see if you can get some ketchup or something? Just boom.
And you just took off?
I took off. I got back, and Dorothy's like, where's Leanne?
My problem. I don't know, man. She won't stay on the straight and narrow. I don't know. Dorothy, go find her.
Oh, it was bad.
Okay, so, but, you know, you got to into the workforce pretty early. Mm-hmm. What were some of the things you were doing?
My dad was just determined, you know, you're not going to be a liberal.
Like that's what he said,
used
right?
to, actually, he was working on that even when I was a kid. Like, if I would say something stupid like, oh, we need world peace. He's like, you know, there's a difference between world peace and happiness. You know, there's places like dictatorships where people are living peacefully. Doesn't mean they're free.
Right.
And he would just ingrain this stuff into me growing up. Same thing with listening to talk radio.
Oh, yeah.
I had to listen to it. I mean, it was just, if I tried to touch the dial, oh my God. He was going to slam on the brakes and I was going to get it.
See, it's just amazing what they teach in college these days anyway. It's not a bad thing to not go to college. I wish more kids would understand that.
Yeah, that's the thing is, you know, I think you and I are pretty close generation-wise where we were told, you know, hey, you've got to get an education. You've got to go to college.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not everybody's cut out for it. I mean, my best friend, she went and got a communications degree. She's still paying it back. And then she went and became an esthetician. Ugh, so many loans. I'm just glad that I didn't. I couldn't get past the math. I had everything else done, could not do the math.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat with you as far as math. That's storied, the knowledge about my struggles there. But I mean, I'm totally with you, and it worked out okay. But along the way, you know, you worked at Target, right? And you quickly moved up the ranks there.
I did. I was unique because I was the type of person. Even though I was really young, I liked to work. I didn't really like where I started out, which was soft lines, because I have no form of. I do not have a touch of fashion at all. I have no clue. I look like I get dressed half the time in like the dark. People would be like, "Does this go with this?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Dude, I'm right there with you.
Like, I guess.
But you went through a period where you wanted to be a mortician. Was this a carryover from your days growing up near the old funeral home there in Forney?
Actually, no connection at all.
Okay.
My best friend hung herself when she was, I think, 13 or 14 years old. And I was living at Utah at the time. So I didn't find out until after she was buried. And it really bothered me. And I wanted to do something to help people with that. Like, I actually was one of the few people that went to the school, at least during that time when I was there, that really wanted to help people. And then I found out really quick that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I've unfortunately had to deal with funeral home personnel quite a bit in recent years with some of my own relatives passing away, and I can never get a good read on them. It's like, are you generally this concerned? Are you this nice? Or is it the fact that you're about to pocket thousands upon thousands of dollars in profit off of our misery? So I get this mixed feeling on Are these good people or what? What's your experience with people that work in the funeral home business? Uh-oh.
I don't want to badmouth morticians in general because, I mean, honestly, we thought the business was going to be booming. You know, that was the whole thought. Oh, yeah, we're getting into this. You'll be set for life. Baby boomers going to stop dropping off. They're the ones that do not care about this stuff. They're like, just dig a hole, put me in it. If that was legal, I'm sure that we could do that.
Right.
But there's like certain things that you have to do. And I wish.
It's a racket.
It's expensive.
Death is a racket.
The cheapest way to go, cremation.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, there's no point. I mean, Robert and I, we've discussed it. I mean, and we don't have kids, so there's no point for a funeral or to be buried, and just cheaper anyways. And now that I know what they do, I'm like, I don't want that to happen to me. That's just gross. It's just, and believe me, there are certain things in life you just don't want to know about.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like behind the scenes of a funeral home.
It's awful, because every funeral I go to, somebody's like, hey, did they do a good job? How did they do that? I'm like, it's fine. It looks fine.
Oh, boy.
And if it doesn't, I'll be like, that's not right.
This may end up scarring some people listening to this, so obviously we don't need too many details, but it's not pretty behind the closed doors of a funeral home, is it?
No.
Back there. It's just, I can't, oh, God.
Well, where I trained at was particularly bad, and I won't say where, but it was kind of like a assembly line type of thing, because you had to have so many cases done in order to graduate. So the best place to do that would be like a place that's owned by the county. So you would just do lots and lots of bodies. Well, there was one person that partially ran the place that had a really, really sick sense of humor. And we would go in, turn on the light. There would be some body just posed.
No.
When it was a child, I just was like, okay, I'm done.
What in the world? This is criminal.
Yeah. They were just
Desecration? What?
It was like a peekaboo factor. It's like, don't do that, especially with children. No, because it's already dangerous to do it, period. Because, half the times you wouldn't know what they died from. Sometimes you would. I don't know if they changed anything since then. This was 2005. That was a long time ago.
I'm just sitting here thinking, these poor families, if they knew.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
But they're not all like that. There are some good people. There are. I mean, everybody I've unfortunately had contact with weren't. Like, there was one guy that knew my grandfather owned a lot of land in Forney, a lot. So he wanted me to come out, and he was trying to discourage me from going. And he kind of said that he was going to hire me if my uncle was going to give him some land. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. That's not cool. He got in trouble a few years later, cremating humans and dogs together.
What in the world?
I know.
So, you, I guess, after experiencing that,
I came to the realization that I was earning more money at Target than I ever would have been embalming, and I'd rather not risk my life because it's complicated. There's a lot of reasons why they won't tell you certain things about how somebody died. You know the basics, but if it was something, they called it like discrimination of the corpse. So sometimes you wouldn't know. Back then it was just a red tag. So you're like, okay, oh my God, red tag. What is it? You kind of look at the death certificate going, okay. Well, sometimes they wouldn't tell you. And there's some things that do not die after you're deceased. I mean, AIDS wasn't a problem, but for like drug abusers, that was scary. They usually had like a square cut right here on their arm, in the middle of their arm. And those you had to handle really carefully. And one time when I was trying to sew a body back up, my finger slipped, the needle went straight through. Oh, it was bad. They had to stick my finger in like cavity fluid, which hurt. Then you have to go and get all these tests and all this blood drawn. I mean, it was embarrassing. They treat you like you're some sort of like whore or addict. And it's like, I'm sorry, I hurt myself. Because you don't know what they have.
No
you
kidding.
Don't.
I didn't think of God.
Oh, it was so stressful. And after that, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I mean, there were other reasons. I had some problems with people up there at the school. There were. I honestly believe at that point, and again, I'm not bad mouthing the school. It's just back then in 2005, I seriously believe that they went to strip joints and other places and go, hey, do you have no morals, ethics? Would you like to consider a career in mortician? Mortuary science? Come on. Because we had like 3 strippers in the class behind me.
Oh, no.
I was just like...
How does that happen?
Like I said, that was my theory. I was like...
What a strange career arc.
It really is.
Uh-huh.
And they weren't doing the full mortuary science. They were actually going to be just funeral directors. But still, you're just going, wow, that's a weird jump. How did you... And some of them were inspired by, I think, 6 Feet Under.
Oh, okay.
But man, it was just, I was like, this is strange. This is odd. And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was just seemed like it was going to be a career that would really drag me down. And back then I was dating on Match.com. So believe me, every time he said, well, what do you do? I'm trained to be a mortician. Check, please.
Wow. Oh my God.
And I don't blame them. I mean,
Yeah.
it is kind of creepy.
No kidding. I mean, that, especially some of the things you've seen and, of course, experienced.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, oh my goodness. So you go and you get a job at Clinique, right?
Yep, I do.
And tell us about sitting in the parking garage on a break one day, because this is one of those moments, and everybody's got them, and
Oh, yeah.
you know that life changes, your trajectory, your path completely goes a different direction.
Well, it's funny because I was, they wouldn't let us really take a break. I was a big smoker, so the only place I could go was to sit in my car. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Anyways, I can listen to talk radio wherever I'm at. So I was listening to Gary McNamara, and he was like, now it's cool that I know him and that we're friends and everything.
Oh, wow, cool.
But just listening to him, I was going, I listen to this stuff so much.
Uh-huh.
I found out later I was known as a P1 because, I
Yeah.
I listened to Glenn Beck constantly. I've even got tons of old stuff.
And tell
of
people
his.
what P1 means if you're a talk radio listener or any radio listener, really. What does that mean?
I think it means that it's like you're the main person that they're shooting for. They're the one that constantly listens almost no matter what.
Okay, yeah. So I think that means you're the kind of person that it's your preset number 1 on your radio in the car. Mm-hmm. So P1, you're a P1 because that is your main channel, the main station you listen to. You're a P1.
Mm-hmm. I would listen and I'd be like, I knew I didn't want to really be a talk show host. I hadn't quite made my decision on that, but I knew that I was so freaking scatterbrained that if I did something like that, I would have to have somebody beside me and get me wrangled in. Otherwise, I would be all over the place.
Right.
It would just be absolute madness. But I started looking into it, and I got a hold of, I think I contacted Mike Gallagher's people who got me in touch with David Darling, who was the program director at K-Sky. Nicest guy ever. I mean, I work for him now, and greatest guy. He said that probably one of the biggest regrets he said he ever had was not hiring me then.
Oh.
Because of where I went. I mean, I went from like starting out, just being a board op, like overnight doing the crazy coast to coast AM, to going to Carol D being a board op, and then from there jumping to traffic.
And these are the opportunities that aren't, as far as I have heard, aren't really available to newbies coming out of college, or never mind college, just at that age trying to get their feet wet in the business. I mean, that's what I did. I got out of college. I tried. So our story sounds very similar, except for the college part, right? I get out of college, and I call my favorite talk show host off the air one night, and I talk to his producer, and he ends up handing the phone to him, and the next thing you know, I've kind of got an in at WGST in Atlanta, and where did I get my start? Running the board overnights for Coast to Coast AM. And, but now everything's so automated, and it's just like,
they were actually in the process of doing the automation.
See, how do you get that experience? I don't know the answer to that.
I was the worst board op ever.
Yeah, but it was overnights,
awful.
right?
Yeah.
So who cares?
And apparently, somehow, I got blamed for a server catching fire. I swear to God,
that sounds like something I would do. Now it sounds like
like I got blamed for it, and I was like, I was there. I mean, I do have a bad problem with PCs. I can destroy one in record time.
Yeah.
I mean, they should hire me, like the CIA. Send me over
to maybe test.
Just have me mess with
sabotage.
It wouldn't take sabotage, just like 30 minutes with it, and the thing will like have blue screen of death.
See. Now my mom's got a theory, because I have a horrible track record with electronics myself. She thinks that maybe I have electricity or something in me, and because it's just every piece of equipment that I get around malfunctions, like you said, within a half hour.
You probably do.
Right.
Believe it or not, that is a real thing.
Okay, so hold on. Is this a Marvel type superhero thing? Because listen to this. Listen to this. Because I've told the story on this podcast before about when I was, old enough to know better, high school. I peeled the back of I just thought it was a cute little suction cup off the back of an old school, vacuum tube, whatever, TV at my grandparents' house. It wasn't plugged in. I just saw the suction cup and I thought it was pretty cool, And anyway, I came to, many feet away, my back up against the bottom of the couch. I don't know how I had flown across the room. So is that stuff still in me? Do I have a superpower? Maybe you do too.
You're probably like Jubilee from X-Men.
Oh yeah, I gotta familiarize myself with that reference. But see, I must have something.
Yeah?
Something's going on. So you've got that power as well to destroy things without trying.
I'm not compatible with PC. I mean,
yeah.
I run one. That's how I work. But my husband knows I get really freaked out about it. I mean, I don't like to save anything on it. I just do my work and move on. And even now, it's like overloaded. And I'm like, why? I haven't saved anything on this. I hate computers.
So it's not the PC that you don't like to save stuff on? Like,
it's PC. It's Windows.
In other words, would you save it on a thumb drive?
Oh, I do. I have it on an external too. But for some reason, the C drive is filled up. I don't know from what.
Wow.
I have no idea.
You break things.
I do.
Okay, all right.
It's bad.
So you're getting into radio there. What's the next step for you in your career arc there?
It was funny. It was because of Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
Whenever he had first come and did, I think, his first show in Dallas. It was over there off of Pearl Street. And I got to meet John David Wells. And he was the afternoon guy on Cliff. I talked to him, and he set me up with the program director to call them, and that's how I got in. It was pretty cool.
That is cool.
And if I hadn't been such a Glenn Beck fanatic, then...
So when you say you got into a show here in Dallas back in 2012. Mm-hmm. And
I actually got back in the, because he came here before then. Just as a show, like he was doing shows.
Just his regular stuff. Not his big event.
No, not him moving here, but he was just here in town.
Okay.
I even caught a T-shirt. It said "Got Milk." It was signed. I was like, "Oh man,
that's cool."
I know.
That's cool.
I've never met the man either.
What?
I have not. I swear. It's funny. I know Robert told him, he goes, "Oh, my wife loves you, and she's been following you for years." And he was like, "Well, why didn't we hire her?"
Yeah, why not? What was the answer? Uh-oh. Okay.
Never tried. Actually, I think I sent something to Stu once, but, that was a long time ago.
Oh.
I doubt he read it.
How are you at editing videos? Look at Rob in there.
Used to. I was so much better than him. Like, I started doing it I started using software. Really.
How are you at waking up at 3 a.m. or earlier?
I already do that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So tell us what you do now, because you do traffic and news.
Yeah, I'm a news anchor. I used to be national, but that thing kind of fell apart. But I do news for Chicago in the afternoon, and that's on Salem Communications, which that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'll also do it for Alabama, almost a large swath of Alabama, actually.
Wow.
I think northern and central.
And again, the audience listening in Chicago and Alabama have no clue that you are sitting outside of Dallas, Texas doing this. How cool is that? But at the same time, we're taking these opportunities away from somebody in those towns, right?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a scab.
Nah, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying
But that's what they call us. But, hey, I'm kind of glad.
Right. I mean, the technology allows for it, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to live in Chicago.
No.
I don't mind doing radio for them, but I'm not going to move there.
Even the guy that's a host there.
Yeah.
He lives in Florida.
Does the audience of Chicago, hello, breaking news, Chicago, Salem Radio, ain't nobody you listening to is going to live in that town. I'm sorry to break it to you. So you do these reports from the state-of-the-art studio that Rob Barowski has created.
Oh, my God. It's such
a
good studio.
Yeah. So he has set this up for you, and it enables you to do this from there. And so...
Now I can even do live. I do 2 reports live for Chicago.
Okay.
The 4:30 and the 5:30
p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And the Alabama stuff is like throughout the day, or?
Alabama's in the morning. Then I have Louisiana, which is New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 reports for them. Then I have kind of like the North Carolina.
Do you have like a chart on the wall that shows like the time and the city that you're talking to and what you're doing and everything?
I just mark it down my list.
I would just be afraid that I'm doing a report for Alabama, but I'm accidentally talking about Chicago happenings.
Oh no, you couldn't mess those up.
Really?
Because most of them in the morning are from one company, and the others from another company. So you have to send them a different way.
Okay, good. So there's a whole process. It's not just flipping the wrong switch or whatever. I got you. Because when I was in Omaha and I was trying to get a job with a company, I cannot recall just here on the fly, but my goodness, it was like what did you say earlier with the funeral home? It was like a
assembly line.
It was assembly line radio is what we can call it, because it was. I remember this long hallway with about maybe 6 or 8 doors on each side, which were just really small studios. And inside you had a couple of computers. For those listening, just imagine, a computer that plays songs and commercials. And there was a couple of those and a microphone. It was a soundproof booth. Mm-hmm. And so in this booth, this guy here is recording today's afternoon drive for Boise, Idaho. Oh, yeah, and this door right here, this is Fred. He's recording the night show for Poughkeepsie, New York. I mean, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just literal. And it was fascinating, but it was also depressing at the same time, because it's just like, man, I mean, this is cool since I live in Omaha and I'm trying to get a job, but man, do the people in these towns have any clue?
That's the funny thing, because when I went to work for Metro, I got the job of a guy that died. That's how I got the position, which is very sad. Very sad.
I think it was Metro Networks in Omaha.
I love Metro.
I might have been them there. I did work for them. I can't remember what building that was in. My brain is fried. But anyway, continue.
They were actually great. Now, when they became Clear Channel, oh my God, that was bad, because they moved us to the main building, and their booths weren't soundproof.
Oh, no.
I mean, you could have somebody just walk down the hall, and you could hear them. But really, what they wanted to do in the beginning at Metro was actually just put us in cubicles. That would not work. I mean,
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Have you ever talked to a customer service sweatshops, basically, in India, and you can hear like 30 other customer service calls going on behind them?
And they're talking normal. Most people, most jocks, they can't hear.
And that was happening here?
Well, that's what they were trying to do. And for a while, they had to actually separate. They had one individual, Alan Ayo, beside some other chick. And you could just hear Alan, as soon as he started doing his report, blasting out.
That would have been me. That would have been me, and everyone would have hated me.
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine trying to do radio and hearing some other DJ behind me.
Now, they stopped that real quick.
I bet.
But he's great. He's a legend. Alan is.
That's cool.
But I know one coworker, Joe, he had at least 4 different names. And one of them, I don't think he went by Joe at all. I really don't. I'm like, what do? You just have to write that down. Somebody picked, I laughed the hardest at this. I think he was on an urban station.
Okay.
His name was James Taylor.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Oh, man.
You know what? That's what's so funny about radio names in the business. I worked for a guy, Billy Shears. He lifted that from a Beatles song, and he was so great to work with at K-Car Radio, Omaha, Nebraska. But the guy over at Metro, who one day they had gone through all of their traffic reporters, and like I'm the guy who would, tell them what's happening on this traffic camera, tell them what the police just said, right? Mm-hmm. I'm never supposed to be on the air at this station. And so I think they were down to their 4th string or me one morning, and he threw me on the air, and I thought, this is so awesome. I get to make up a name. This is going to be great. And I came up with the name. Heathcliff Sierra. And the guy goes, no. He goes, what's your middle name? And I go, Thomas. And he goes, today you're Tom Taylor with traffic. And I just said, okay, whatever. All right. So I was, hey, everybody, okay, we got a stall on I-80 in the right lane as you approach the...
No, were you nervous when you first did yours?
Not really.
Oh, God, I was. And
Yeah.
I screwed up so bad.
I think I wasn't nervous because I just didn't care. I think he took all the wind out of my sails when he made me Tom Taylor traffic.
Well, my first time being on the air was actually on the station that I loved and still love, WBAP.
Ah, nice.
So I was just, so nervous. First time. Ongoing destruction on Woodall Rogers.
Oh, nice. Hey, that's a good band name right there. Ongoing Destruction.
I was like, construction. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And Robert, I don't know if he's ever played for you, the Houston Symphony. Oh my gosh, it's awful.
Yeah.
Like they sent me a spot. I was doing a Houston traffic report. There were no pronunciations at all. It was like the whole part of it was Spanish. You want to hear the whitest person?
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's bad.
On April 5th, 6th, and 7th, join the Houston Symphony for Spanish Masters, Rodrigo and Fala. Joaquin Rodrigo's Fantasia para un Gentle Hombre will transport you to 17th century Spain. Also experience the rich sounds of Spanish guitar virtuoso Pablo Sanz Villegas.
That's one way you can tell when someone isn't local is because they're mispronouncing suburbs or street names that you're like, bro, here we call it DeKalb County, Georgia, not not whatever.
But up in Illinois, it's DeKalb.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. So I mean, here in Atlanta we call it DeKalb County. In Illinois, what do they call it?
DeKalb.
See, and you can tell when someone is not there.
See, and I was doing Atlanta traffic for a while, so I had to memorize certain things like the Spaghetti Junction.
You should have called me. I could have walked you through everything.
I loved researching that. That was fun though. I think
bet.
the last station I did was I did San Francisco and LA. And LA was just a completely different beast. I mean, it's all on the before you would say the road. And it was cool. I mean, you mostly did flow. Like each place I know that I was approached to do Chicago traffic. I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Oh boy.
Same thing with up there in Washington, D.C. Because in New York, Washington, D.C., big places like that, they don't do, there's an accident, this is what's blocked. No, it takes this long to get to here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Weird.
It's gonna take you on the 405 or whatever. It's gonna take you this long to get here. And I noticed they started introducing that probably right when we were switching from Metro to total traffic. And it was confusing because, I mean, even I think in Houston, they would do a lot of flow. And that's a whole different beast because when you're trained this whole time to, for one, I never relied on a script. I mean, I had, when I was in news, I had Mark Watkins going, no. And then when I was in traffic, I had the best person for traffic. His name's John Scott. He literally looked like he was Magnum PI. Hawaiian shirt, would go smoking cigars. He fell asleep one day, just completely asleep. And I go, John.
Oh, no.
The computer's off. Well, looks like everything's going pretty good out there on the roadways.
That's a good way to do that.
I mean, it's amazing.
That is actually, if you're unprepared or your computer goes out, just say everything's great. And then that person sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic will go, oh, they don't know about this.
Yeah, give us a call on the traffic tip hotline.
That's a great idea.
But I saw him do that, I was like, wow, that's pretty smart. Mm-hmm. That's pretty smart to be planning ahead, and that helps so much. Because there would be times that over at BAP, they would have the actual system go down, so I'd be like printing out all this from like, I can't even remember what news service we were using, but I would print off all these stories just in case it went down.
Hold on. When you do traffic, are you doing it live or is it being recorded a few minutes ahead of time before it airs? Because I have a story with that.
For some stations, for Dallas and for KABC, they were live.
They're live.
Those were live. And there was one in New York that I had to do live. But most of them, for the most part, are due like 5 minutes before they go on the air.
Right, because what happens is that person that you're listening to while you're driving home and you're listening to your local talk station that's possibly a national show, right? And more times than not, they're recording traffic they have windows, right? Mm-hmm. You got to get your Omaha traffic in between 35 and 40 to the board op in Omaha. Between 40 and 45, you got to get that traffic report in for the board op in Charleston, South Carolina. And 45, and so on. And so you don't know when these national hosts are going to break.
Oh, yeah, the floating break. Oh, my God. That was the worst.
So the poor board op is getting this traffic report possibly at the very last minute because they were delayed down the line and so on. And then by the time it gets in the can and the board op is playing it during the commercial break, it could be a 10, 15-minute old traffic report at that point. Sorry to ruin this radio program directors listening out there.
Well, it's more so like that now. I mean, it's pretty loose with the reports I do know. I still try to get them as close as possible, but you can file them like 20 minutes before.
How many different stations in your typical day are you recording stuff for?
For traffic, it's Louisville, which is a weird market.
Wait.
Louisville, Kentucky.
You're not calling it Louisville on the air there, are you?
No.
Louisville.
I don't say anything.
Okay, I just be careful. Just be careful.
See, I know that I will make a mistake like that, so I'm one of those that kind of avoids it. Like if I see a story and I can't pronounce it, and even though I listen to the pronounce, I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna move on.
It's going to be very generic with the way I approach this. In other words, if traffic is delayed because everyone is going up to the convention center for the Louisville Bourbon Fest, you just want to call it, everyone's slowing down, getting in the right lane for that Bourbon Fest. You just avoid saying the name.
It's weird when you think about it, though, that you would say the name because you're there.
Yeah.
So why do you need to tell them that where they are? They know where they are.
Yeah. That's good. See?
Yeah, that's how I get away with it.
Look at you. You've got the mindset of a local. Well done.
And I try to talk to it, try to address it like that. Like it's going to take you a slow roll, expect a little bit of brake tapping in that area.
I love this story. I want to hear this because it made me think of Thomas Edison. When Thomas Edison was a little kid, I remember some story. I don't know all the details here, but somebody at the train station or somebody let him do his little experiments in a train car that he darn near blew up. Okay? Something happened like that. Like he almost died or something. I don't know. It was a bad deal. And we would be sitting in the dark right now if that had happened because he would have never invented the light bulb. No. Tell us about your mad scientist disaster with a chemistry set.
Back then, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you go to KB Toys or some other toy store. There would be like a whole aisle of like specimens in jars.
Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time on that aisle because...
But they did. I mean, it was weird because, they were filled with like formaldehyde. It's like,
wow.
Okay, really, a kid's going to take this home.
I totally missed out on this.
Yeah.
No.
It was weird. I mean, there was one that like you actually had jars. Most of the time they were like tiny little vials.
But it had stuff in them, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, back then, I remember they sold wood burning kits and all this other stuff. Yeah. So, I mean.
They don't sell those anymore?
No.
What?
I think you have to be really, I think you can get it through
society is so sanitized.
Oh, God.
Okay.
I mean, growing up, we like slid down the metal slides. Now, kids like slide down the little plastic ones, gets static electricity.
Yeah. So when you would go to KB Toys, where I would, be looking up at all the fun stuff flying above my head, right? You were over here on the chemistry aisle?
I went down every aisle, but I don't know why. I was just obsessed with wanting to become a mad scientist. So my mom will get sick and tired of listening to it. It's like she bought me a microscope and she's like, okay, well, maybe it'll be leave it at that. Mm-hmm. No, I want this chemistry set. So she buys it. And of course it says, have a parent with you to help you. So she helped me. So this is actually not on me. This is a misprint on their end.
Wait a minute.
Because we followed the instructions perfectly.
You tell me the story and I might have a way for you to get rich. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't remember who sold it, but we were following the instructions and all of a sudden it started bubbling up and my mom and I were like, oh my God. So we throw it outside. Boom. We're like, that's not supposed to happen.
Oh no.
That's not supposed to happen.
Oh no. So how big of an explosion? Like what would it have done in the house?
Oh, it would have made a mess.
Oh.
It would have made a mess. But I mean, the fact that it was bubbling up and
how do you know it was a misprint then?
Well, I mean, why would you do that?
In other words, you followed the directions to a T.
She actually was helping me so that way we could say, hey, it wasn't on me. It was not on me. She was right there with me.
Okay, hang on. KB's Toys?
I don't know where we got it from. Actually, there used to be a store over in Casa Linda that used to like sell science-y things. Really.
There's a lawsuit here. There's a lawsuit here. Hang on.
Had to go back to like what, 1986, 85? Those it's probably not even in business anymore.
So listen to this. I found this from Mental Floss. 8 dangerous items that used to be allowed in kids' chemistry kits. Hang on. Oh, wait. Oh, what? Why don't I have this? Did your kid have a blowtorch?
I don't think it did.
Did your kit have iodine solution?
Yes.
Okay. Hang on to that. That's number 2 here. Sodium ferrocyanide?
It had just
cyanide?
It had just about everything. Yeah. Anything that you could put in that kit, it was in there.
Radioactive uranium ore.
No, I think they stopped letting that stuff come out. I was reading about that. I was like, my God, I can't believe they sold people that.
3, I love this in quotes, very low level radioactive sources.
Well, you can still buy that, apparently. Because after we watched the whole Chernobyl thing, and I've been wanting to go to Chernobyl more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm going to order some uranium. And you can order it on eBay.
Okay.
I mean, it's
wait, no, I saw that.
It's very low level.
Yeah, I saw that. I wonder if it's still a thing. Yes.
Well, I joke with Robert because he's got this one friend who works actually.
I can't get over you calling him Robert, by the way. Because, I mean, he's Rob to us here at the Blaze.
I normally just don't even call him by his name. Like, hey, babe.
Yo, get over here.
Honey.
Hey, the cat's on my laptop again. Come and get it.
Go get your derp.
Okay, so hold on. But potassium nitrate, copper sulfate, calcium hypochlorite. One of these had to have, explode.
It was anything that was allowed back in the 80s. It was in this kit. Because it was a very professional kit. My mom never spared the expense.
That's
she
great.
Always, if she's gonna get something, it's gonna be top of the line. So it had stuff in it. It was crazy. I mean, the stuff that used to let us play with was crazy. I mean, the creepy crawlers. I mean, when you think of the original set, it was just metal plates.
What was it?
It was because you were just molding plastic.
Oh.
And then the easy bake oven, you always had a cousin as stupid as mine that would put other stuff into the oven. It's just a light bulb. I mean,
that is awesome. Stupid cousin like I had.
Oh, he was bad. He almost burnt down a log cabin up there in Gatlinburg because he decided to put some sort of plastic thing like up against a light bulb. We like start smelling smoke. I'm like, ha, he did it. I didn't.
Wow. See, I'm just accident prone. I had an accident prone childhood. It sounds like he was looking for trouble.
He just did things that were just odd. Great cousin. Love him to death. Awesome.
Why did you hang up the idea of becoming an actress?
We went to, my best friend and I went and actually did one of the tryouts. And I wasn't even close to being considered. I was just written off first. I was like, okay, well, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I don't want to do it anyways.
You say you're too socially awkward and shy?
I am now.
Isn't that the best kind, though? I mean...
I was so skinny. I was so thin back then. They automatically were trying to send me to Kim Dawson, the modeling agency. But I was too short to do what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be runway. I'm like 5'3".
Okay.
But I did, speaking of stuff like that, my mom always thought I should get into either modeling or acting because of the crap that I would pull. She would lose me in a store. And I would be standing there right beside the mannequins and just hold that position. Scare the crap out of people, man.
You could go to like some touristy area and just stand there and maybe, here's what you do. Hold on. I'm trying to think here.
I saw some guy on a Instagram video the other day. That's how he hid from his family. Was like standing right in the window. It was hilarious. He actually did look like the dummy.
I'm telling you.
That's a great idea.
There's something you could do with that skill of just standing perfectly still. But you've got to reveal yourself at some point because you got to get people to throw money into your little hat there.
Well, usually whenever they start touching you, you're like, don't do that.
That's good. Okay, well, you should think about that. And there might be something there. You list your mother and Mark Watkins, who you mentioned.
Yeah, Robert goes, that's really weird that you put my mother, Mark Watkins. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I guess in case
Well, you can have
Punctuation. Mark Watkins is not my mother.
No, it says my mother and Mark Watkins.
Oh, then
Okay.
that's the corrected one.
Yeah.
Because mine still says it.
No, as the two people that had the biggest impact on you. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, without Mark, I would not be what I am because he was the only person that, I mean, if I hadn't worked with him, because how I got into WBAP is I would go up there and I would sit with him on his shift. And I would sit there. He would start his shift about 11:30 until about 7:30 or 8. And I would sit the entire time. I was not hired, was not paid, but it was worth it because he would have me practice. And then he'd go, all right, what did you do there? Don't do it again. And he would point it out. And I mean, it would hurt. But at the same time, it would actually go off in my head. You know what? Mm-hmm. It would sound better if I didn't sound like I was reading a script. And that's what helped me so much. He goes, always know your story. Always know it. Know as much as you can about it. Because if you look over and you're short, you can start regurgitating it. And you're talking to them. And you're connecting with them because you're talking to them like you're a human being. Not like, well, there's one person, I'm not going to say who, but let's just say they can cram 5 stories into a report, and it's like a micro machine. It's like, blah, 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 blah. What did you just hear? What?
Right. And also, if your computer goes out, have a piece of paper. If and let's just say, to his point, let's say you have neither the paper script or the computer in front of you, you can at least wing it. I'll tell you what bugs me that I learned in college. This is all I remember from college. No, one of the things that I remember learning in college was hanging leads. Don't just hand it off to a soundbite, because if that soundbite doesn't play, then you sound like an idiot. Because, and what I mean by that, if you're listening now, what's a hanging lead? It's if I'm reading a news story and I say, and the president said this,
Ooh.
and then there's dead air. You're like, he said that they're going to continue to fight terrorism, right? Whereas instead, if you say the president said they're going to continue to fight terrorism, well, if the soundbite doesn't play, then you don't sound like a complete idiot.
Or if it's really bad quality.
Or bad quality. Or
I
something
had one of those recently. It was so bad. He said,
right? But I am stunned when listening to national news on the radio. National news. I hear these professionals that constantly not only use a hanging lead, but get burned by whatever faulty equipment they have. It happens, by the way. It's on the Fox News top of the hour every morning. It's literally every 2 weeks I'll hear something screw up like that. Anyway, it's fascinating that they don't learn their lesson because this equipment fails on a regular basis. It's ridiculous. Anyway, okay, so
they don't have Rob. If they had Rob, they would have.
They don't have Rob.
It's
to
true.
Save the day. It's very true.
His equipment, my equipment, is better than probably anybody's.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
Well, Rob swings in to the rescue on Pat Gray Unleashed all the time. I mean, the guy is in there doing above and beyond the time.
He is amazing.
He's
People that have him, that they're very lucky. Very, very lucky.
I agree completely and totally.
It's nerve-wracking sometimes to do the news. I mean, I was thanked whenever the Supreme Court decision came down on that Friday, because I was actually one of the few that would present it both sides, not just hysteria. And I had the guy from Chicago and David say, thank you for doing that. I mean, that's a difficult thing, but when you've got people saying that, presenting things that aren't true, or if you actually have somebody saying something in a sound clip that is an outright lie, instead of calling it a lie, say they misspoke, or present the other side, try to tell them, okay, this is actually what it truly is, and just break it down, because I don't have a position. That's the way you're supposed to be.
Right. You're supposed to just deliver the news. It's almost like you're an announcer at a sporting event and you don't care about either team.
It's not like that now, though. I mean, I send Rob stories all the time. I'm like, I can't believe that they write this stuff. I mean, it's just anything that has to do with Trump.
Everything.
It's just attack. Anything that has to do with the opposite side, they don't even try to present facts.
No.
It's just statements. And I'm like, how can they do this?
It's honestly...
It's editorializing.
I was about to say, it's almost like you have to scroll back up and go, wait, am I reading an op-ed? I thought this was just going to be a news story. Yeah. So let's talk about you and Rob. And I don't know if you do want to talk about this. He alluded to it in his conversation with me. I don't know, what were you, episode 8, Rob? Somewhere in there. That number's jumping out. It's early on in this podcast.
He held up a finger. I don't know what.
Whoa.
What, babe? Hold it up again.
Is 8? Are you number 8? Was he 8? I don't know.
6.
6. Number 6. Okay. So Rob Barowski, your spouse, episode 6 of At the Mic. Do you want to get into the discussion of you guys' struggle with getting pregnant?
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean,
I just hate that for you because you guys would be such great parents.
It's tough. It really is. It's really tough, and especially right now with the whole topics that are going on. I mean, people are saying things on Twitter that are just unbelievable. Like somebody tweeted towards me, and this was actually a setup attack because if you look at my tweets, I don't really post much stuff that's
nothing controversial
or about myself.
Oh, okay.
So for them to actually know that I was infertile, they'd have to go way, way back in my timeline to find anything like that. And they're like, these families should work on things instead of letting infertile people play hero. I'm like, whoa. I just immediately blocked them. I'm like, I'm not going to reply to that. That's a setup. Because nowadays, a lot of people, they will tweet stuff to set you up.
Oh.
Because it shows that I'm a news anchor. They're going to try to find the company and get me fired.
See, that is...
People are bad about that.
You know what? That's a great point. Let me address that for a moment, and then let's get back to this. But I just want to point out, that is something that I think that I take for granted in my role, which, in other words, At the Mic is my hobby. This is where I don't talk politics as a rule because it's an escape. I am so fortunate that I have this outlet, but I also have the other outlet where I can be very opinionated on Pat Gray Unleashed. I can not live in fear of my politics being known because it's an opinion show over at Pat Gray. So I am very fortunate in that I have the best of both worlds. But you pointing out that you're a news anchor and someone trying to, in other words, you drag me out into an opinion thing. It's not a big deal. I mean, that's my job.
That's your job. But I mean, for me,
oh my gosh.
But it's funny. Like I even tweeted.
That's got to take restraint on your part.
It does. I usually just scream and yell. Robert has to listen to it, and sometimes he has to remind me, hey, you need to remember your reputation. Because I'll get so ticked off. That's why I tweeted something about, shame on you for presenting tweets that are misrepresenting just bad. Because I noticed a couple of people that are affiliated with the news here in Dallas, they were just posting stuff that was outright lies. I think that's so irresponsible.
Yeah.
You should not do that. I mean, but because they're on that side, I mean, it doesn't matter what side I'm on. That's the thing. You're not supposed to know. If I want to tell people, I will. Otherwise, but you have to be so careful because people they're vicious. I mean, they are vicious. And it took me years to get to where I am. And I'm not going to let some crazy keyboard hero that probably lives in their mom's basement or just, very unhappy individual to do something like that.
But see, because even if you want to fight back, which just before you sat down here, just before you guys walked in for this, there's a guy who tweeted something out that I was literally, when you walked in the process of thinking, I wonder, this could be fun, because he's totally trying to start something. And then part of me was like, I don't have to. I could ignore him, not give him the pleasure of thinking that he got under my skin. Because it's not an under my skin thing. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm sober. I could do this. Anyway, so I'm still deciding if I'm going to do this. But yeah, that sucks. That's difficult for you. I can totally see that. And so I take for granted my ability to either be, hey, I could let it go, or hey, yeah, I can totally roll up my sleeves and let's fight. So
it wouldn't help me. I mean, I retweeted one tweet because it was just absolutely just ridiculous, where somebody said, oh, for all pro-lifers, you should adopt 4 children. My husband responded to that. That's like saying for all people who want illegals to come in, you should bring in 4 illegals. Because then I engaged and said, if I could, I would adopt 4. Mm-hmm. But the adoption process is extremely difficult.
That's the other side of being pro-life. Then you have to also be willing, and I think many would, this adoption process has got to be streamlined, because I think I saw something the other day that said it was 40-1 parents who want to adopt to children available. Okay, well, if we're going to have more babies being born, then make it so that these parents can adopt. And I know you guys have had struggles.
We've thought about it, but it's just, we've known too many friends that have gone through the foster to adopt, and they'll have a baby, and then it'll be taken away
from them. Right.
And I think he told me another story where a judge actually made a really bad decision and put a child back into a home with a mother who's a drug addict and didn't even want the kid. That's sad. I mean, you open your life, everything, and that's not good for the kid.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have tried to conceive, and it's just not something that's in the cards for you, huh?
Yeah. At least it's something medical that I mean, I don't exactly like how it came down. I mean, it's never good when a doctor says, in my 30 years of practice, I have never seen. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, I'm a freak. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's just a common thing with me. But that sucked. I don't even know what it is that I have. I just know that it's very rare, and it usually hits women that are 50, 60. Because when we were in the ER, one doctor goes, oh, maybe it's, oh no, she's way too young. And it was.
Oh, wow.
Whatever it is. And it sucks because we tried to treat it. In the beginning, we thought that we could. And what it is I have a tumor in my uterus, and it's about the size of a softball.
Yeah. And
I had been sick for a while. I can't even remember when I started feeling sick, but it just seems like, I could say from when we got married, but no, I think a year or two afterwards when we were actually starting to go through the whole fertility doctor thing.
Is that how they discovered what was going on in there?
No. It took me going to the ER and getting recommended to this one doctor that he actually found it. It took a really specific type of CT or ultrasound where it did a complete around that he found it, because it's weird. It's in the wall. It's not like normal tumors, how they'll stick out. It's like Emotep. It's in the wall.
It's literally just blending in there.
He's never seen anything like it. I mean, we saw pictures of it. It's just unbelievable.
So, okay. And then correct me if I'm wrong here. If I have my facts wrong, I apologize. But almost like the cure for that ended up destroying you.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it has.
Oh.
We really thought we had a chance. And I wish we hadn't done it now, but at least we can close the door on it knowing that we tried. I just don't like the drugs that I had to be on because it just devastated me. I wasn't in good health anyways, and the way to treat it was to give me very strong medicine. One thing that would shut down my ovaries, which is really bad, and then advanced breast cancer treatment to shrink the tumor. Oh, it shrunk it, but there was no way to remove it. Like once it was all said and done, he goes, no, I can't get it out. It's like, it would take your entire wall right there. It wouldn't go back.
Wow.
I was like, oh man. Because I was in really good shape aside from feeling bad and bleeding all the time. But, I was like a healthy weight. When I started taking that medicine, it just hurt my bones. I couldn't move. I felt bad. I'm still trying to bounce back from it. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I put on at least 50 to 60 pounds in such a small period of time that it just overwhelmed me. I could barely move. Wow. It was bad.
Well, let's talk about you and Rob's little zoo there. Now, I know that in the course of your life, you've had multiple cats, dogs, a couple turtles, 4 fish named after the monkeys. That's cool. A cockatiel, named RC and a baby alligator named Fred. Oh my gosh, what happens when the baby alligator grows up, though?
Was the problem, actually.
Oh,
It got a little bit too big, and we tried to take it back to the pet store. They're like, no, that's a female. No, we can't. So we let it go, actually, out in kind of like a little swampy area. One day, my mom wakes me up, Fred's alive! I'm like, what? I went downstairs and I looked on the TV. An alligator is discovered outside of San Marcos. It's rather mysterious of how it got there. Like,
oh, no, it's not. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I know. It was cool that she lived.
Fred was a girl. I think that's the breaking news here. So somebody else had to capture him and take care of it.
I think she was like full size.
No.
Because it'd been quite a while.
Hang on a second. Hang on. I was just trying to see if there was a news story on the old internet. Okay, so how many cats do you guys have now?
We have 3.
Okay, and what are their names?
Well, I guess I'll say their full names.
I know, because Rob did this.
I think he told y'all their full name.
They're quite lengthy.
Yeah. The one that is the anniversary cat, or the wedding cat, is Sataka Gintoki. We named him after our favorite anime, Gintama. And it's funny, though, he actually reminds us of another character that we should have named him instead. But he's a little Japanese bobtail, awesome cat. I mean, really crazy. I mean, he's a klepto. I even posted a picture on Twitter the other day where he was trying to steal the bubble wrap to take it under. I mean, if there's something missing, odds are he has it.
Yeah, I had a cat like that. I know exactly what you mean.
He was walking around with like an actual, I don't know how he got it, one of those LED bulbs in his mouth. What? I'm like, where did you get that?
I've been exploring, Mama.
I don't know. I don't know where he got it.
What's the other kitties?
Let's see. Then there's Rob's kitty, which is
What's that?
We call him the Derp.
Okay.
He's a big, giant ragdoll Siamese. His name is Ryoga Hibiki. That's from, my cat that I had since I was a senior in high school, Rama. The show that he was on, Rama 1/2, his rival was Ryoga Hibiki. So I wanted to continue, since it was a Siamese, I wanted to continue it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But actually, his name ends up being Yo-Yo, which makes sense because he yo-yos back and forth between him and I. He's not like most Siamese where like they hate everybody else but one person.
Really?
He likes me and he likes him.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They're really like that. I mean, they're very choosy. Very choosy. And then we have Mimi, and she's named Hatsune Miku. So if
how do you get Mimi out of that?
Well, because there's actually a program, and it's a big thing.
I knew there would be a
Hatsune
reason.
Miku is actually the thing that some Japanese guy married. It's as a hologram.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and she's the one that it's the software that actually it's like a voice.
Yeah. He falls in love with this hologram thing, but the tragedy in all of that, and it's a total 2022 tragedy, is that the company that created her went out of business, and now he can't get a software update, and she doesn't talk to him. Now, speaking of anime, though, you used to edit and create anime music videos?
Oh, yeah. That was a big hobby
Where would
of mine.
we see your work?
Oh, it's on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I started doing it back when the internet was really, really young. I mean, it took like hours to or days to download just like a 1 or 2 minute video. And I just started cutting up, and I had a real knack for taking images and rendering them, just trying to emulate different openings. Back in the day, if you watched anime, there was a company called ADV.
Okay.
And they were the main one. So they would have this video before it would start. And it was all the different ones that they had, but it was set to a beat. So it looked like they all flowed together.
Okay.
And that was how they advertised. So I was like, I can do that. I can do better than that. So I just did. I mean, I started working on it, and I had stopped for a while. And then around 2004, I started using my Mac. I found this one creator. I think it was called Videator. It's nothing complicated like what they have now, but I managed to pull out some pretty amazing stuff for back then. But I can't even, I look at the stuff that Robert's doing, I'm like, I don't know. That is completely different.
Yeah.
I'm too old now. I look at that, I'm like, no. I don't want to learn it.
So what's the deal with you and Pearl Jam, though?
It's funny. I think about a year ago, I started getting obsessed with them again because they were like my favorite group growing up.
Okay.
And to prove that, Robert and I were watching a video that my dad had gotten from some sort of VHS or something. And I'm even say in the video, I love you, Eddie Vedder. I love you, Stone Gossard. I hope you marry. I'm going to marry you. I'm going to marry you. I was like, oh my God. I was wearing a Pearl Jam shirt tucked in.
Ooh, that doesn't sound like a good look.
Oh, God. But that's how the style was back then.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what they look like, I mean, they've got their shirts tucked in. And the high-waisted, oh, man.
Well, okay.
And I always wanted to see them. I always did. I got to see Nirvana because I snuck out. And I got
snuck out to the concert?
Yeah. My dad did.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, last one.
That was their last show?
I think it was the last one. I don't know if they came again, but that was the last time I would have ever had a chance to see him. My mom had tickets for me to go to Pearl Jam. Yeah, because I got caught. Nope. I didn't get to go to Pearl Jam.
Oh.
I know.
Man,
I know.
You were rebellious.
I was. My dad actually screwed my windows shut. Bolted them.
Wow.
That's pretty bad.
Huh.
But I love Pearl Jam. I get it. They're, honestly, I think my dream is to just go and just yell at Eddie Vedder at this point. I don't know why. It's a bucket list, and it makes me so mad because, I'm constantly going off about him because you can't buy any of the merch. The tickets are unbelievable. And I'm like, is this the same group that went and fought Ticketmaster? You guys are worse than Ticketmaster. Mm-hmm. The tickets are unbelievable.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking.
So hypocritical.
The one time I snuck out, it's from my grandparents. I lived with them my senior year. It's because I had to have Arby's. I think it was 5 for $5. I literally had to, and there was a holly bush right under my bedroom window. These things are sharp. Anyhow, well, it's good music, but you're right. A lot of these bands, a lot of these celebrities
they're so
end up standing with the thing that they used to preach against.
I don't get it either. Honestly, it's not like anybody's going to fault them for their success, but, stop acting like you are down with the struggle. Like, Eddie Vedder released an album recently. It's called Eddie Vedder and the Earthlings. He's got this one called The Halves. I'm like, oh, you're writing about yourself?
Hello.
The guy is super rich. He owns a house right beside Barack Obama in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's down for the struggle.
Down for that struggle. Keep it real, baby.
Oh, you see on Instagram, it's hilarious because they actually have to limit the posts that you can comment on and they'll have to actually repost it because people still start lighting them up and be like, you know what? Shut up. What's wrong with y'all? Why are you doing this? Y'all are all rich. Hey, we can't afford this. We can't. Hey, riding with Biden, that really got us someplace. They just, wow. And it's funny to watch it too.
Right. So tell us what's in your apocalypse bag.
Ooh, when I still had one.
What? You think you don't think we're in the clear?
No, I just don't leave the house. Everything's right there. Oh, it's funny. I do have one, and I take it upstairs with me to go to work. Which is crazy. I'm still in the house, but it's like I want to have everything with me.
Right with you, huh?
Yeah, so it's like cords, cables, chargers.
Ah, smart, yeah.
Anything that I can think of that I would need. Okay. Anything.
Not food and water or...
Yeah, usually
charge
snacks.
My phone. I might starve to death, but man, I'm going to be able to play Fruit Ninja.
Got weapons.
Actually,
the bag itself was a weapon. You could actually just hit somebody with it and hurt them.
I like that. Okay, who told you? Because I was scarred by this movie. I already didn't like spiders.
Oh God!
But when I saw Arachnophobia, that sealed the deal. Who told you it was a comedy?
They ran it in the comic books, man.
What?
Yes. Oh my gosh! I think I've even still got the comic. It was either an Archie or a Power Pack comic. It was a comedy. They show it. Oh my God!
I should have never watched that movie.
I should have gotten up and left.
I
should have, but I was too young.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about it was when my cousin and I, we went and saw it. We were already freaking out in the chair going, oh my God. So we go up to Nana's, and she lives up there in Little Elm. Back then, it was nobody. She had a house. We called it the House on Stilts because it was a lake house, elevated. Normally, when you go to sleep, you'd kind of,
be careful with this description because I've got to edit this, and I hate spiders. In fact, I am so scarred by that movie that whenever I see something that could be so funny and 180 degrees removed from the movie Arachnophobia, but when I see John Goodman, it could be the funniest bit ever. I am transported into that house where he's trying.
Really?
Oh.
He wasn't even in it that long. That's what was crazy. It's like they advertised him and gave him like top billing. He didn't show up to the very end.
No.
Oh, it was a terrible movie. Oh my God. We went up there. We had to go to sleep at Nana's house. Most people would be looking on the wall. Oh, it's just your imagination. No, they were there. There were actually spiders. Like we stayed up taking turns going and trying to kill them. Oh, it was awful. Awful. I hate spiders.
So,
I killed one of them over at TM. Robert still laughs that I did it.
I'm not
I like
gonna-
lit it up with like a blowtorch.
I'm not. Okay, I am trying.
Hairspray and lighter.
Yeah, I am trying to. I'm trying to Google this without seeing images. But I found this story. Ugh, I'm trying to cover some of the pictures here. And it says, arachnophobia changed the way I take showers forever. Okay?
Or just eat popcorn. Oh, because that was one of the scenes. Somebody was eating popcorn and put it in their mouth.
Ah! See, why am I should have skipped this. I should never have brought this up. But you know what really did it to me was long before this movie came out. And it was, I got to stop reading this article. I was gonna talk about something in the movie, but I'm going to just end up hating myself even more. But I will say this. I remember I was 8 years old, long before Arachnophobia came out. And we were eating at a restaurant, and I had a little, was it 2 pints? What are those little mini chocolate milks?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like a quart.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
This is our public
It's
education
something.
time.
The little tiny milk
Yeah,
carton.
the little tiny milk carton. We'll just call it that. Dear heavens. And it was chocolate milk. And I just drank straight from the carton.
Oh, dear God, you did not. Oh,
It was game over.
oh my God.
Somewhere in 1984, 85, somewhere in there is when...
Well, it sounds like it was game over for the spider, too.
oh,
you
yeah,
know?
he was... Yeah, he was... He was already... Help me, Lord. How am I going to edit this? How am I going to do this?
Have you ever had fears that you actually tried to conquer? I've had that. I do that. I am insane about that.
So...
Irrational fears, too. Irrational. There's no way that it would happen to me. But yet I would force myself to just learn everything about it. For me, it was the electric chair. I was terrified.
Wait, did you try to electrocute yourself
No.
in a chair?
No. Actually, I studied about it. My dad was an ass, okay? He knew I was afraid of it, and he took one chair and put it right over near where the nightlight was and draped a belt around it. So I wake up, I'm like,
Oh, no.
like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that?
Kidding.
But
Wow.
yeah, I researched something to the point of where it's just, I'm no longer afraid of it.
Mhm.
And
That's good.
I can't do that with spiders, though.
I give everything.
No.
I don't even like the word. I don't
no.
even like the word.
Nope.
Okay, cotton candy. It's a comfort food. Is pink or blue taste better?
Pink.
Okay. The Fletcher's corny dog.
Yeah,
Is
good
that?
times.
Yeah, I need to try that.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
Only reason really to go to the fair.
Uh-huh. Is there a reason, though? Okay. I mean, now you want to talk about overrated. It's any state fair
It's nostalgia.
that I've ever been to.
It's nostalgia.
Right. That's true. No,
I've
that's fair.
heard it was very different back in the day. Like in the 70s, I think it was more, or maybe even the 60s. Like they actually had burlesque.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the actual
Whoa.
past of it. And it's funny. My dad likes to go. My dad's a very, very proud Texan. Every time we go, we'd see the Hall of State. He'd go, there's your grandfather's name right there on the wall. See, he
Nice.
died at the Alamo. I'm like,
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I don't like that he died there. That's not what's cool. But what's cool is you have that connection to Texas history.
oh, Dad loves it.
Wow. What's his name?
I don't know, something Burleson.
Oh, Burleson. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a town named after him.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
That is fascinating. How are you going to let this... We just stumbled into that fun fact. I mean, you should have led with that. That's pretty awesome.
No, I don't think about it. Well, that's associated with the side of the family that I do not get along with at all. They don't
Sorry
like
to
me.
hear
So,
that.
and
Okay.
it happens. It happens. You know, I mean, that's their loss, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. I'm fun. You know, if you want to make me the black sheep, then hey, that's probably a good thing.
Well, you talk about your mom's side of the family. I guess that's the side you get along with? Mm-hmm. Okay.
They're almost all dead though, but
Yeah.
it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
They live up in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's weird
Okay.
because when I talk to my uncle, my voice changes to where it basically, if you've watched the show Justified, I sound so Hills. It's not funny. I mean,
well, that's what I wanted to ask you earlier. Do you try to change your voice a little bit between Alabama and Chicago news reports?
it's best to have no accent.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, when they talk to me, if I've been talking to my father or my uncle, I don't have control over it because, I mean, I will just straight go, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that.
See, now, do I have an accent whatsoever? Be honest. No? Okay.
Not that I noticed.
Because when I started going to school at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, they were like, oh, my gosh, man, you are from the South. And then when I would go back home for Christmas break to the South, they'd be like, wow, you sound like a Yankee. And I'm like, what is happening? And so for 25, 30 years now, I've thought, okay, what do I sound like to people anyway?
No, you don't have an accent. Not very prominent.
All right.
I lost mine by learning Japanese. Like,
Yeah.
you just, when you start learning a different language, you just kind of lose it. But to be fair, though, whenever I first started out in radio, they made me say W over and over because I was saying W,
Yeah.
WBAP. No, it's not W, it's W. W.
Yeah. That's kind of stuck with me, too, the W. Yeah. So you taught yourself Japanese, but you can't read it? What is that all
Cannot
about?
read it.
I don't understand.
Well, when you hear people,
you can just speak it back and forth, but you can't pick it up in a book or something. Which, by the way,
it's very, very difficult.
you can read it backwards or something, right? Or down, up, or
yeah,
what? How's it go?
it's backwards. Like you read like right to left.
That's weird.
Yeah, trying to get or is it left to right? I don't know. I cannot tell my left from my right. That is because my mother was determined to make me a righty, and because of that, I always have to hold up my hand and go left. It's weird. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody's like, "Oh my God, what a ditz, what a moron." It's a real thing. It's a real thing. I mean, if you were really, my father is left-handed, and that's what I was supposed to be. I mean, she fought with making me a right-handed person all the way up to the 3rd grade. Then after that, it's like, okay, which is which? It confuses you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's go through these though. Okay. You taught yourself how to play music.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Like, in other words, you can't read it.
Nope,
You just
cannot
play
read
it. Okay. We covered the Japanese stuff. You were an ice skater.
Mm-hmm.
That looks tough.
Oh, that was fun. It's best to learn whenever you're young.
Yeah.
Anything, like, if you're young, it's not as far to fall.
Right.
Even with skiing. My dad and I would go skiing like maybe once or twice a year. And I was really good at it. And the kid that we went with, who I fought with all the time, we were both really good. We could go down.
Not Leanne Rhymes.
No. Good Lord, no. Very brief moment in my life that I knew her. Like I said, she probably does not remember me, which is good. That's
good,
fine. That's
yeah.
fine. But yeah, I could do like black diamonds, which have the moguls and stuff like that.
Gosh, yeah.
When you're young, you can do that. But now it's like, ever since I broke my leg, I couldn't anyways. Cause
how'd you break your leg? Oh no! Was this a Keith type injury? Like it's too embarrassing to tell the story?
No, it's kind of freakish.
Uh-oh.
It was. I did not. After all these years of doing overnight, look at me. I'm ghostly pale. I've always been somebody that stays out of the sun because my father had skin cancer whenever he was 21, and they cut a little bit of something off of me when I was in my 20s. So after that, I was like, I'm staying out of the sun.
Yeah.
And I just can't be out there. I'll burn.
Right.
But oh my God, I just completely lost. What were you saying?
You're talking about breaking your leg.
Oh yeah, apparently my vitamin D level was like in the single digits. So
What's the highest it could be? Do you know?
it's supposed to be in like, I think the double or triple.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just the break I suffered was something you would have in a car accident.
What? Like, what were you just walking down the road, or what happened?
I was at one of Rob's friend's house, and I already had a boot on the other leg because I kind of did a little hairline fracture of it. I slipped, fell, my leg it just hit the concrete.
No.
It broke in two.
Oh, gross.
And I'm screaming and yelling. We're at this one like podunk hospital, and they're telling me to shut up.
You're going to need to shut up.
And actually, it was funny with the doctor that saw it. He goes, "Oh my God, how have you been able to take it?" I'm like, "Oh, very easily." Immediately put me into surgery. I had to be in like a cage for at least a couple of months. Oh, it was awful.
When did this happen? Recently? Or?
Oh, no. It was back before Rob and I got married.
Oh, okay.
So I think, 24 2014. Yep. He nodded yes. It was 2014.
Golly.
Oh, it was awful. I don't even remember much of it, and I'm glad because
Probably
it was
good,
so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime anybody talks about opiates, I'm like, hey, you know what? If I didn't have oxycodone then,
Yeah.
I don't think I could have done it because the pain was that bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And that's another thing is, again, something I've probably mentioned before. It just came to mind when you talked about that. I had a relative who was big time Southern Baptist, big time against any kind of marijuana. Well, he got cancer. And he told me that the only thing that brought him any kind of relief was medical marijuana. And he changed his tune. He turned on a dime. And he said, you've got to allow this.
Well, these people, they keep pulling all these pain medications off the market. They're going to be in really bad shape when they're actually hurt because there's not a whole lot left. I mean,
right.
Honestly, I think you've got Vicodin. I can't even remember. Because I was in the hospital and they gave me something. And they trick you now in the hospitals. Like, I went to the ER. They actually want to see if you're an addict. They left a syringe out there because I refused pain medication because I already felt like I was blocked up. I didn't want it. And I knew I was in pain, but I just didn't want pain meds. They left that syringe in that room. And I kept telling them, hey,
Filled
you guys
with
left this.
painkiller.
Yeah.
And what'd they say? Oh, we'll get that.
I just kept ignoring it. I'm like, whatever. If you think I'm going to act like somebody that's going to take it, I'm not.
Wow.
But it was weird.
So, English equestrian, you did competition? My gosh.
Just once, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Everything, my mom put me in just about everything. Tap, jazz, ballet, tumbling.
Wait a minute.
I've done all of it.
Semi-finalist in the first video game competition. What's that all about?
Oh, man. That was back when they had The Wizard.
What's that?
Don't you remember the movie with Fred Savage?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't see
yeah.
it, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so they set up like a little pretend competition thing at Fair Park.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you made a certain amount of points, then you got the T-shirt that said semi-finalist.
Oh.
And I was a little kid. I was
That's
like,
fun.
yeah. I didn't
Okay.
get any further because I didn't understand it wasn't how far you got. It was how many points you accumulated. Like, you could have somebody sit there and just kick the turtle over and over again into the block. And that's how they would get higher. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, like halfway in all these other worlds, way ahead. Nope, you don't have as many points. Yup.
Right, is that what you're talking about? Kicking the turtle, right? You're
Exactly.
talking about Mario. Okay.
And then they debuted the one that you played at the end was Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh.
Which again,
That'd be fun.
it was just basically like an advertisement for The Wizard, which was an awful movie.
So it's not something I should go back and watch.
I mean, it's good nostalgia, and you'll actually see some people I think in it. I think there's a couple of stars in it. And you're like, whoa!
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. When you go back and see an old movie and go, oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them.
When did your mom pass away?
My mom passed away, I think, 2016.
No.
Yeah, it was just shock. She'd been kind of acting strange for a while. My parents ended up getting separated, and she just she changed. She was really. I mean, it sounds funny now to say it. I don't know if Rob's ever told you the story of the dent in the back of the Lexus. I've got a dent there, and everybody comes by the house. It's like, oh, we'll fix it. No, I don't want it fixed because my mom claimed that she hit a midget that my dad had hired to steal stuff.
Oh. What?
My mom was convinced that my dad had hired midgets to go in the house and steal stuff. My mom was a huge hoarder at the end. So she couldn't find anything anyways. I mean, she was just buying. But her cousin actually passed away from ovarian cancer about 6 months before that. And it was so aggressive, it had went to her brain.
Oh.
And I wish my father would have let me, and I should have just, forced the issue anyways, because I was the one that had to make the decisions with her since I was the only one that was, legally able to. I should have had a full autopsy done, but I didn't. It was so devastating because she went in on a Monday and she died. I think Monday or Tuesday, and she died on Sunday.
Oh, man.
I mean, I was there. She would have passed away actually before then, but I had stayed the night with her, and she aspirated. So I immediately went and got somebody. I got to say goodbye to her right as they gave her the propofol. But I mean, it was so tough. It was awful. Because my mom, she was very difficult to deal with at the end because she was so crazy. She was so convinced that my father was either trying to poison her or something. I mean, she ended up in the hospital one time, and I'm trying to talk to the doctor saying, look, what do you think this is? My mom's not mentally ill. You know, it would have presented a long time ago. I'm like, this is pretty intense. It has to be a tumor of something. And then trying to figure out how to actually get the treatment or actually get her diagnosed, I would have to actually take over power of attorney, which she was crazy. So she would like do crazy things. So I was afraid to take power of attorney because my God, you know, I would be responsible for it.
Right.
But yeah, because of that, we didn't even know it ran in the family. We had no idea because everybody else had a hysterectomy. And it is actually the worst cancer because you don't know you have it until you have it. Unless you're looking for it, you're actually going in there and looking for it. By the time you know that you have it, it's already metastasized. And the ability to fight it it's really tough. It took Mom real fast.
I'm so sorry. Tell us about Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees breaking your heart, and then William Shatner riding to the rescue.
Oh God, that was... It was fun. I didn't even know who he was. It didn't even dawn on me.
You didn't know who William Shatner was at the time.
I think I did, but I was so upset because...
you were a big Monkees fan.
Oh, yeah. Nickelodeon had just ran the Monkees, the whole series back then.
Okay.
And I watched it from, beginning to end, and I loved Mickey. I loved him. So he was coming to the auto show. Mom got me dressed up all perfect. And
all right.
Went up there and handed him the picture. He just signed it.
Didn't even
look up. I was bawling.
Oh.
And then William Shatner's like right across the way, like up on a kind of a platform. He comes down. He goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like,
How old were you?
I think I was like maybe 6.
Aw.
I was young. I was like, Mickey he didn't like me. So, come here. He put me on his shoulders. We went and he goes, "Hey, Mickey."
Oh, nice.
He was awesome.
I bet he looked up then.
Yeah, he did. Mom's like, do you know who he is? I'm like, no. She goes, Star Trek. I'm like, oh. And ever since then, my mom's like, I love William Shatner because of that. Because that was a cool thing. He's a great guy.
That's cool. I love this answer. I've never had an answer even close to this. If you could go back in history, you'd go back and meet Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. Or Sam Kinison.
Okay, yeah.
Or definitely John Ritter. Oh my God, I love that. I mean, those are actually celebrities that would be cool to meet that you wouldn't worry about them being complete jerks. But other than that, I don't want to go back in time.
Go back and laugh as opposed to what you. I loved your answer because I had the same thought before, where you said I'm not gonna go play someplace like the Middle Ages where people don't bathe. I think of that all the time. I think, my gosh, like if I'm watching some movie and it's set in that time, I'm like, wonder what it smelled like right there.
I'm so glad they didn't invent smell-o-vision.
Right?
Oh my God, no.
Right?
No. Well, I mean, I have such a low immune system. I'm like, I'd be dead. I didn't make it far in Oregon Trail. That's how I gauge it. I died of dysentery way.
It's amazing that the human species has procreated and has powered through before there were things like running water and soap.
Well, because you would just gain an immunity to it. I mean, if you go back there, you wouldn't have the antibodies for it.
I'm not talking about the health. I'm talking about I ain't touching you. You smell like poop.
I know. It's so gross. I mean, it really, when I watch period stuff, I'm like, oh God. I'll even say it to Robert, they have to smell. It was that one show, oh my gosh, what was it? Deadwood.
Okay.
We were watching that because of all the bad language. The same word was said over and over and over again. We were keeping a tally of how many times they would say this word because that's how I got Robert to watch it. It's like, I have never heard this cuss word used this much before in my entire life.
Hold on. What word is it? I haven't seen it.
Sucker. I swear I've never heard the word said as many times. We started keeping a tally. There was one episode where I think there was 20 or 30 in one episode. I mean, it was hilarious.
That is awesome.
Like the conversation was, woo, some of us is old sucker. What? Who? What? Sucker. Over and over. And we're just going, I'm like, I cannot believe how many times that they're saying this. But you're watching it at the same time, like, my God, they have to reek. They have to smell.
Right, back in the 1800s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is a good series, by the way. You should check it out.
All right. What's it on?
HBO.
Okay. So your most embarrassing moment involved some arsonist.
Oh God.
And then like this
was
is sad. I mean, I don't like the fact that somebody torched your dad's store.
Yeah. Actually, we come to find out, the guy that actually burnt down our store was trying to get my grandfather. Apparently, he had a disagreement with him, and my dad's Little Red. And
Your dad's a what?
Little Red. Little Red's Antiques.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather's Big Red's Antiques.
Oh.
Well, they thought it was the same thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so they burn it.
Antiques burned to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What?
I mean, think about that. That's all this wood. I mean, back then.
I hope there was insurance. Okay.
No.
No? What? Mm-mm. No.
Plus, we were out beyond the fire line, too.
So you
That's
didn't
why
have
you couldn't
fire
get
protection.
insurance. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
So it burnt down.
That had to be devastating for your family.
It was. It was scary for a while. That's why my parents sent me away to school, was because, they were starting to get phone calls from jail. They found out their employees had been working from them since the early 70s, had been stealing, like, a lot.
Oh, no.
And, of course, there was very little they could do about it. But, yeah, my dad was being interviewed. I think, I almost want to think it was Deborah Ferguson, maybe? I don't know. It was somebody. It was live. I had no idea they were actually live at the moment. And I was just being stupid. I went in one side of the building. I said, oh, there's a clock face. Maybe I can, get it out. So I'm pulling, and I'm pulling. So I got it. Beam fell out. All of a sudden,
and it's
smoke.
On the news.
Oh, yeah, in the background. You can see them both turning going. I walk out, I'm like,
oh, no.
Sorry.
Boy, that could have killed you.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, God.
Oh, I was dumb. My dad gave me a camcorder to actually go, because I was so tiny, I could just go in little areas where other people couldn't. I can't even watch the video because it's it reminds me of Blair Witch.
Right.
It makes me sick. I can't watch it. Moves too much.
And were you guys able to salvage anything from that disaster? Oh.
No, we got, I think even the aluminum outside of the store was warped. But my dad, bless his heart, he got some other furniture, and his supplier for aluminum set some stuff up. He just moved to a building down at the very end, and they built back. But this time, when they built back, they did not have the buildings together. They had them separate. And it's funny because the building was destroyed back before I was born. I think in 79 by a tornado. My dad was in that store when the tornado ripped the whole part of it off, the roof, whole half of it off, and threw it back on my grandfather's building. Oh, they had some awesome pictures of it, but of course they burnt up in the fire.
Oh, of course. Oh, my gosh.
But antiques just aren't what they used to be. Not anymore.
Did they catch the guy?
Mm-mm.
What?
Nope.
We don't know who did this?
We know, but I think he was either dead or already in jail. Yeah.
Okay. So, how about regrets? Any you want to share with us here?
Honestly, I've tried to think a lot on that.
We can skip this.
No, I have a good answer for it. My father and I saw this movie, Mr. Destiny, whenever I was a kid. And the way it was explained is if you choose one thing and you change it, then your life goes spinning off in a whole different direction. So
Right.
if I would have gone back and changed something, then I would have never met Robert. Would have never had my cat Rama. I would have never experienced the things. I'd be a completely different person. I can't say I'm happy. I hate the fact that I can't have kids. I hate that. But if it would have altered where I am right now,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't change anything. I wish I would have spent more time with my mom.
Yeah.
But again, that's one of those fixed moments in time. There was, even if I went back, I couldn't stop it. There was no way to stop it. It's just a fixed point. And I tried. We actually were reconnecting a little bit before she died. She was actually that week supposed to help me make dip for Robert, and was actually going to meet Robert. She never got to meet him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Really sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why when you have people tell them you love them, and even if they get on your nerves, just know one day they're going to be gone. And
yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Okay. You want to tell us what's in your Amazon cart right now?
Oh, geez. I think I cleared it out again. I had a bunch of different desks. Because we're always trying to find something to replace the desk that we have right now for me. Because, it's one I've had since...
Wait a minute. you had, quote, a bunch of different desks. That poor Amazon delivery guy.
Oh, yeah.
That had to been a wonderful day for him.
We've learned our lesson about like ordering stuff like that. We did that with Wayfair. It's still sitting in the box.
Oh. I'm not putting together. You build it.
It's complicated.
Yeah. I can't. My brain is not capable.
I don't know if we could put it. I struggle putting together anything. Most of the time, I'm usually like, where are these parts supposed to go?
Mm-hmm.
That or the bookshelf would be leaning or backwards or something.
I recently put together for my grandmother this clothes hanger thing, right? Think about it. It's pretty simple, right? You got the bar across the top. You got the 2 poles. You got some wheels down here, and you got like a bottom shelf. I mean, as simple as it comes. And I did it, and it wasn't amazingly. It had some challenging moments, but I was able to successfully create this thing. And people are listening going, what? That's like, what did it take you, 5 minutes? You know, whatever. I mean, it took a while, a little bit. Don't ask. Don't worry about it. My point is, I have never, I don't even remember the last time I was so proud of myself for accomplishing something. So I'm with you. When it's something like a desk or something with like 500 parts and diagrams and then you know.
And I'm telling you, they are printing the print smaller.
Right.
I'm telling you they are.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm like going, oh my God. I know.
Yeah.
I guess I'll need reading glasses because I'm like, what the?
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. But you know you're in trouble when there are parts that have more than one letter. Wait a minute. We're going to get in the double letters? We're doing like, what? Why do I have to look for part MM? You know, I was like, wait, no, come on.
They have that now with just like a cat tower, like assembling a cat tower. You would think you'd just look at the instructions or just look at the box.
Right.
No, they're more involved than that, especially.
And it's written by somebody who uses English as like a 4th language.
Yeah.
Can I get a preposition here? Because it totally screws up the entire process.
I would use the old joke like from Beetlejuice. It reads like stereo instructions.
Ooh.
That totally dated me.
You and me both. Okay. Well, I tell you what, Nikki Whaley, the wife of Rob Barowski, who is a big part of Pat Gray Unleashed on the Blaze radio and TV networks. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at DFW Radio Girly. See, I did that. You saw I did the W.
Exactly.
See, I want to say W, but no, it's W.
I can't think of I think mine on Instagram is complicated. It's like Nikki _Whaley.
Oh, wait, hold
Barowski.
on. So DFW Radio Girly on Twitter. And on Instagram it's different?
Yeah, I think it's like Nikki _Whaley
Nikki
Barowski.
Okay. Well, you didn't put that. It says DFW Radio Girly. Oh, and on Instagram. But it still doesn't say it didn't print. Rob didn't email me your answers. Rob printed up your answers and missed a page.
Well, he wanted to show you how this is just kind of like how I am. I will not look at the instructions. I'm like getting through it and I go back to the beginning. It says brief. I'm like, oh God.
Uh-oh.
And I was just I was in a writing mood. You know, I'd just been finishing my shift. So of course I've already been writing. So I'm just going away.
Hold on. You do this for me. Count how many pages that is over there. Because I'm going to make you feel better.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, 6 pages. So don't feel bad because, like you said, I asked for very brief answers.
You need to put that in like super, super bold.
Super
even
bold?
Even though you have it in all caps, the very.
Yeah.
Like it really needs to stand out.
Needs to be bold? Okay.
Like even maybe raise the actual.
Yeah.
Like, make it be like 16.
Okay, right. Because the record for longest response email to these questions that I expect to be no more than 2 pages long, right? Now you got 6 there. What do you think the gregarious and has a lot to say Joe Bastardi, previous guest on At the Mic, how many pages do you think his answers were? Got a guess? Remember,
20?
19. Good
job.
job.
I was close.
It's 19.
I was close.
And it's not that big of a font. It's just, I mean, come on, Joe. I love him to death. Oh, you know what? I'm looking here. He put in some pictures. He actually, now that I look here, okay, so hold on. So let's take out the pictures here. Hold on. It still would have been 15 easy.
Yeah, I was gonna attach the screenshots of the cart.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I made them. I just
That's funny.
didn't attach them.
That's cool. No. So you got to go and listen to that Joe Bastardi interview, y'all. Anyhow, Nikki Whaley, I appreciate it. We cover everything today?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Very good. Nikki Whaley, you can find her on Twitter at DFW Radio Girly and on Instagram. I don't know. It didn't print up. What was it again?
I think it's
Nikki
Whaley underscore Barowski.
All right. Thanks for joining me on At the Mic.
Thanks.
It was so great to sit down with Nikki, have a good conversation there. It's a radio family, her and Rob, a radio power couple, if you will. It was great getting a chance to talk with her. Now, in the next episode of At the Mic, we're going to sit down for a conversation with a behind-the-scenes Blaze coworker of mine, Case Dugan. Chances are you're familiar with Case's handiwork, you just may not realize it. We're going to sit down with him a week from now. Now, in the meantime, I hope you'll take a moment to rate and review this podcast. Hopefully, you'll give it 5 stars over at Apple iTunes or Spotify. Feel free to drop us a note through the website at themicshow.com. And don't forget the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/atthemic with Keith. Your subscribing over there would be so greatly appreciated. Now, before you rate, before you review, before you subscribe, there's one thing I really hope you will do. Please, go be free. And thank you for listening.
This has been At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production. Head to atthemicshow.com for archived episodes, sponsor information, and ways to connect.